Hey everybody, this is Dory, and this is part 2 of how to utilize Google SketchUp to help you make your drawings in perspective a lot easier. I've already done some work on this because I previously made this tutorial and then I accidentally forgot to turn off the mouse clicking and it was really annoying, so I'm doing it again because I love you guys, because you're awesome. What I started with basically was I put a white layer underneath my reference shot, which I already exported from Google Sketch. And then using that, I turned down the opacity so I could see on top of it with ease and be able to see what lines I've already drawn. And basically what I got is this very simple room. And I haven't gone in and gone over the rest of my dresser that I built or anything like that. I just got down my base lines. My dresser, I started on its own layer. And I'm going to go ahead and go in here and throw in the rest of these lines. So I use a 3-pixel line tool, which I don't want to draw in brown. I use the line tool because it's really easy to grab the point and just pull it down and keep even with your line that Google Sketch provided for you. And just be able to nice and neat, make something for you to use as a reference. That's the great thing is you can go in here and just, make this look really nice, really fast with all that painstaking. Is this pulling the line to the vanishing point, and it's just such a pain in the butt to do that, wasn't it? Drawing in perspective class, I think, was the most horrifying class for me. I never want to draw another cube in my entire life. So, we have these shelves, and if you were doing this like by hand, you would have to like figure out that this shelf is going to be a little less revealed than the shelf below it because it's higher and receding in space. The fact that you can look at it and know that this is correct, is enough. See, now this one's a little bit shorter than this one. You need to understand it, but using Google Sketch makes it a lot easier for you. And the main reason you need to understand it, so I'll show you in just a second, is even if you have some knowledge or perspective, it will make your drawing so much better. So we're going to go ahead and combine all of these together, hold shift, go down to the last layer. It's a lot of lines, and just click merge layers and rename it dresser. So now my dresser has its own little layer separate from my base layer, so I can work on it without having to worry about anything like that. A few tricks I use for additional lines on top of things already drawn in perspective. For most of my detail lines in my other drawing, I went to a 2-point brush, and I basically go over this, and I use my transform tool, and I just, nudge it, meany thing. I pull it down, and as you can see, it's going to be a little off. What you're going to want to do... Okay, now that I realized I was stupid, didn't select auto select, we're going to go in here and I'll show you a nifty trick. If you hold down Control, this little white arrow is going to appear. And what this does is you can grab this corner and move it. So now I can move it and say that looks weird, and I can adjust this from the corner to more accurately in perspective line up here. And then I'll do the same thing down here. Whoop. Don't do that. Stupid thing. Whip and pull and do that first so it doesn't screw me over. But now we work on real quick figuring out that this goes up a little and this is going to recede in space, and for the line here, for horizontal lines, they typically stay even. So they're pretty... They're pretty even. So I can pull this down here, and then I'll merge all these together. Merge layers. And I'll do one more line over here from this angle. Okay. And merge it with this again. Okay, we're going to call this drawer. And I'm going to go in here and just really quick erase the unneeded lines. And using the lines you've already created in Google Sketch gives you, somewhat of a guideline. Is it perfect? No, my drawer is a little off. Knowing when you're wrong is the best tool you can have in Photoshop, because then you can just fix it just like that. Boom. And easy, just duplicate the layer, hold shift, and move this in, move these down, turn it all around, do the hokey pokey, and you're easily distracted. So once you get this where you want it on your drawer, just a really easy nudge it down with the arrow keys, and I'll draw right on top of it. And just putting these little details to give it more flavor, to make it feel more believable, because yeah, there might be something a little off with it, but you keep it pretty close. So once you paint over it, you can work out things that are wrong with it as you go. Put a little knob on here. Highlight, come out, and see that your knob is not in the center, but that's okay. Select and move. I hate you, Photoshop. Why? Wow. This thing is just tablet. Sheesh. Well, there are easy ways to find the center, which you probably learned in drawing in perspective. So if I really wanted to find the exact center of this dresser front, I could, just by pulling a line from this corner to this corner, from this corner to this corner, pulling from the center and going straight up. I'm pretty close just from eyeballing it. So I would probably nudge it over just a little to get it perfectly in the center, and then I can just go in here and delete these. And so that's an easy way to just add some detail into your drawing that wasn't there in Google Sketch. The next thing I usually do once I add superficial details is I'll go in and I'll do aesthetic details. And what this does is I just sketch in real lightly what I would draw if I was going to make this a fully rendered drawing, which I'm not, because I don't have the time with all of the homework. But I just added something to break up the space here, something to make it more believable, add more character to the drawing, and I'll probably would have put a door in here. So being able to draw all these little aesthetic things can do two things. It can add character and volume and like soul to your drawing. It can also distract from any mistakes you might have made, little ones, because when you just have your performance is low. When you just have your base lines to start with, and you make like these drawers, and your drawers might be a teensy bit off, it's going to be less noticeable if you have all these nice aesthetic things on here. And when you're painting it, it's going to be even less noticeable after you're done. So that's my simple walkthrough of how I approach drawing my Google Sketch from this. And I'll just go ahead and open up this one real quick and show you from the bottom to the top. Just top to the bottom. Sorry, Linkin Park song stuck in my head now. So I started with this right here, which it looked like that, really messy, really bad lighting. And so I did what I did on the other one. And the first thing I did was lay down just base line art. I drew in manually all these little details you see here. So I had to do some perspective work to get this where it needed to be. I went in and I drew all the bracing for the pipes. I drew just lines on the outside of the boxes. And at this point, I was able to say bye-bye SketchUp. The next thing I did was I added a texturing to all my wood. I very loosely went in here and then erased anything that was outside the lines. For the boxes, that was the next thing I did. Let's pick a box that has a good angle. It'll go in eventually. Okay. And so here we have the box. I lowered the opacity on the details so they wouldn't be as, wouldn't deter from what I really wanted people to pay attention to, which was the overall form. So all of my really minute small details were all slightly lowered so they didn't overpower anything. All I did was trace over like I did with the drawer. Trace this over and move this over. Trace this over and move this over. I knew that because we were looking from the top that you'd be able to see a little bit of the plank here, a little bit of the plank here, and a little here, and a little on the top. Knowing the principles of perspective help you make your drawing more believable with every line that you do. Google Sketch will make getting the resources you need to make the lines believable so much easier. So it's a lot less work. And the next thing I did was I added the rest of my details, which were things like my rope. Like, for instance, I needed to know how far this would vanish. I needed to know what this would look like from the top. In general, fabric is pretty easy. And then my little birdies. So, overall, Google Sketch made this so easy compared to having to draw, like, perspective lines throughout the back. It's really messy. Google Sketch makes it clean and easy. It makes you have more energy so you can make things look more detailed. So that's my basic overview of how I use Google SketchUp to set up my line work. And I hope that this has helped everybody. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will try to help.